Hi, we are going to talk about how to work with graphs of functions, not anything specific, just graphs in general, and several things that you should be able to do. So we have this graph here that looks like this, some kind of a function, f of x. That's what it is. And we have to find a few things. So let's start with finding the domain. The domain is always going to be related to the x values. Since our graph is going to exist at every point for every x, the domain is going to be all real numbers. I know we don't see this continuing, but if there is no definitive point that ends it, we assume that this is going to go on forever, and it actually does. So the domain here is all real numbers, which is negative infinity to infinity. So as far as range, the graph, now we're interested in the y values. So this end goes down, we have no breaks in between, this side goes up. So we're going to cover all the y values here, which is also going to be all real numbers, negative infinity to infinity. Where is the function increasing? So it's increasing where it's going to go up, where it's rising. So we see the graph rising all the way up to the y value, the x value of -1. After -1, the graph starts going down. And it keeps going down all the way until it reaches 2. And after that, it goes up again. So we have a graph increasing from negative infinity to -1. And then it's also going to, we're going to use the union sign, it's also going to increase from 2 to infinity. Okay. Where is it decreasing? It's decreasing from from -1 to 2 on this interval. Remember, the intervals are always going to need to be written left to right. So from -1 to 2. Where is it constant? We need to see a piece that's going to be horizontal. We don't have this. It is not applicable. What's the y-intercept? The y-intercept is where the graph crosses the y-axis. They can only be one. It's right there, that point, 0, 3. The x-intercepts, it's where the graph crosses the x-axis. So there are 3 points like that. This one, and this one. So it's going to be -3, 0, 1, 0, and 7, 0. Where is the graph, where is the function negative? The function is going to be negative where the graph lies below the x-axis, but we're looking for the x values. So it lies below the x-axis to the left of -3, and it also lies below the x-axis from 1 to 7. So the function is going to be negative on the interval from negative infinity to -3, as well as from 1 to 7. Or is the function positive? It's positive from -3 to 1 above the x-axis here, and from 7 and up. So from -3 to 1, as well as 7 to infinity. Relative maximum, or also known as a local maximum, local minimum, so minimum is the lowest point on the graph, but not the lowest. It's a point where you have some kind of a dip. So in this case, this is going to be our relative or local minimum. So it's going to be 2, -5. And a point like that is going to be a relative maximum. That is -1, 4. Now we have to evaluate the function. So we need to find f of -4. So what we do is we find the point, find the x value of -4, and we locate a point on the graph that has that value. It's right there. So at 4, the y value is -3, so it's going to equal -3. At 5, I'm sorry, I apologize, we were supposed to do -4. So at -4, which is right there, the value is, my bad, it's actually -5. Now f of 5, so f of 5 is right there, is 5, is our point. The value is going to be -2. So these types of problems, all you do here is you evaluate the function. And now this question, when you see a question like that, this is when you need to look at the graph. This is the y value. So we're looking for when the y value is 3, what's x? So let's look at the graph. So 3, you go across here, right? And there are actually several points. So it's going to be it's going to equal 3 at -2, at 0, and at 10. So x equals -2, 0, and 10. And each one of those 3 points, the function is going to equal 3. Where does it equal 5? So we'll look at the graph, find the y coordinate of 5, it's right there. We're only going to have 1 point here, and that corresponds to 12. So in this case, it's only going to be 12. Alright, let's take a look at the next graph. I'm going to go a little bit faster with some of them. So in this case, what do we have? We have a graph that looks like this. I do want to point out this is a closed circle, this one's open, but this one's closed. So it does continue on this way, but it actually stops here. So the domain's going to be, it's going to start at -4. It doesn't have any points to the left of it, so we start at -4 and it goes on to the right. So from -4 we're going to have a closed bracket because it does include the endpoint to infinity. What about the range? So the range starts, the lowest point that you have here, the absolute lowest is -2, and it does not go above 6. So we start at -2, we go up to 6, but that point is open. So when we write 6, we're going to have an open end, which means we're going to use a parentheses. Where is it increasing? This here and this here. So it's increasing from -4 to -2, and then it's also increasing from 0 to 2. Where it's decreasing? Decreasing here. So that starts at -2, ends at 0, the x values. -2 to 0. Where is it constant? We actually have constant behavior here. That's a horizontal line. So it starts at 2 and goes on forever. So 2 to infinity. A y-intercept. Y-intercept is where it crosses the y-axis. So right there, 0, -2. The x-intercept is, we have 2 of them. You can't quite see what these points are. We'll tell you what they are. This is -2. This is +2. So it's going to be -2, 0, and +2, 0. Where is the graph positive? The graph's positive, oh, I'm sorry, negative. So it's negative where the graph is below the x-axis. So it's going to be between -2 and +2. Where is it positive? So it's going to be positive from -4, positive, still positive. So from -4 all the way to -2, and then it's going to be positive again from √2 to infinity. A relative minimum is right there. This is the point. So it's going to be 0, -2. We do not actually have relative max because we don't have a point where the graph goes up and then down, kind of like what it did with the other graph. So there is none. G of -3, so -3 is right there, and it's going to be 5, 1, 2, 3, 4. G of 5 is here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, right there. This is going to be 2. Where is the graph equal -1? So -1 is right here. We have 2 points, 1 and -1. And where does it equal 4? So 4 is right here. We already had this. It is going to happen at x equals 3. I'm sorry, -3, right? Okay, the last graph we have here is this one. This one's kind of weird. So, first of all, it starts here, has an open circle here, closed circle here, closed here, open here, and it's open here. You can't quite see it. And this one's open. So it's open on both ends. So, the domain is going to be, it starts at -6. It goes through all the values, but then it reaches 7 and it doesn't go beyond that, and it doesn't even have a value at 7, so it's going to be closed on this end at -6, and 7 is going to be open. So what about the range? This one's a little tricky because we start, if you go from the bottom, start at -4 and then you reach -1. Then there is a gap. So we are going to have to include several intervals. So from -4 to -1, that's this part. Then we have a gap, and then we have to jump from there directly to +1. So we're going to unite that. So 1 is included, this is closed. And we're going to go all the way to, no more gaps between this. We're going to go all the way 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And this one's closed too because this one's closed. Where is it increasing? Increasing only here. So it's going to be from -6 to -2. Those we always write as open intervals. Decreasing here and here. Please write them separately because you do have a break. So it's going to be from -2 to 1, as well as from 1 to 7. Constant does not happen here. We don't have any constant behavior in the horizontal line. Y-intercept you have right there, 0, 3. X-intercept, it does not cross the x-axis, as I hope you can see, so we have none. Where is the graph negative? It's going to be negative here, from 1 to 7. Where is the graph positive? Wherever it's above the x-axis, so it's going to be from -6 to 1. Relative minimum or maximum, you don't have it here because you don't have same behavior when the graph kind of goes up and down. They are all disconnected, so we have none for both of them. H of -4, -4 is here, the value is going to be 2. H of 5, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, the value is -3. When is the function going to equal -1? So -1 you actually don't have anything because this one's open. So you don't have that specific value. Where does it equal 2? So 2 we have here, and here there are 2 points. Right? So it's going to be at -4 and at +1. And that's how it's done. Hope this helps.